So it's been 4 years since the Do Not Buy FIFA 19 video. It's my most viewed video on the channel. It got straight to the point, and I think it had a little bit of influence on people's decision not to buy the game, which is the main thing. It also got me a spot on the EA Game Changers program. That's been rebranded to the Creator Network because we don't change the game. They don't really listen to our input at all. Essentially, I'm back with the same message. Do not buy FIFA 23. This is coming from a guy that has played all the FIFAs going back to FIFA 98. This game has been a massive part of my life since I was a young child, and I feel like some of that excitement comes out in the career mode videos if you ever watch my Youth Squad Legends series. I am very passionate about this game. However, it is not immune to criticism, and the franchise as it is now definitely deserves the criticism. We'll talk about why you shouldn't buy FIFA 23. We'll also talk about how FIFA, or EA Sports FC as it will be called from next season onwards, can get better in the future. Just be aware that this video will be mostly directed at career mode because I am a career mode YouTuber, but even if you're big on Ultimate Team, Pro Clubs, I still don't feel like FIFA 23 is a worthwhile purchase. Overall, I feel like the chemistry overhaul in Ultimate Team is probably the biggest change of the entire game, but they've done it in such a way that I think it's going to be more confusing. Yes, you'll be able to make probably more interesting squads, but there'll be a lot of mental arithmetics to get it right. For Pro Clubs, they've got this screen at the end of a Pro Clubs game that shows you who's been the best passer, who's been the best scorer. It's very Rocket League-like. Good addition, not worth a full game price. Gameplay seems alright, but you know it's going to be ruined in a couple of patches' time, and also the AI can't cross in the next generation titles. They've had Hypermotion for 2 years, and the AI can't cross. It's almost like the developers of this game don't actually play the game. Just a disclaimer before we get onto like the big bulk of this video, because I know that this was raised often after the Don't Buy FIFA 19 video. Why should we listen to you? You're buying the game, but you're telling us not to buy the game. Well, this time around, I will receive FIFA 23 as part of the EA Creator Network, but rest assured, not a single penny out of my wallet is going to EA, because I don't think they deserve it for this half game. I urge others that might type up that they've not played FIFA in like 5 years to not type that, but urge others to do the same. We don't call the shots at EA, sadly, but what we can do as a collective is hurt their wallets, because that's all they care about. Unfortunately, that is the state of play. So that's why I'm here making the video, using my platform to try and persuade you not to buy the game. I don't know how big or small this impact is going to make, but I feel like it's my obligation to do so. Right, we touched upon Ultimate Team having a chemistry rework. There are also playable moments where you don't actually have to play an entire match, just few attacks, I think, penalties, free kicks, one-on-ones. This is FIFA's big money maker thanks to child gambling. And what you got? 2 notable changes. Pro Clubs has got 1, maybe 1.5 notable changes. Career mode though. Oh, you know the one thing more than anything that I'm absolutely pissed off at EA about is that they group together the journey, which thankfully they've got rid of now, player career and manager career into one bundle. So if they make changes to one of the modes, this year it's player career, they have some kind of excuse not to touch the manager career. Like, what is that? They have a very small team, the career mode guys, working out of Romania whilst everybody else is in Vancouver, so logistically that's absolutely terrible. As the modders found out, the code for career mode is built upon foundations that were laid out in PlayStation 2 era, so no wonder why anything added to career mode breaks something else. I do have a sense that the workers, even though they might be trying their hardest, probably don't know what's going on, which is a huge concern. The game developers don't have a clue. So if I've got this straight, what they've added in player career are like personality trees that work similar to the development in Pro Clubs, but it kind of lays out a personality for your pro as you develop on the field. It's not a bad addition, but it's very samey. It feels like the same formula over and over again, but just with a different name. They've added some interesting cutscenes to player career, and that's it. There are your unique selling points for the game in the entire career mode stratosphere. You're telling me 12 months of development has led you to that? Really? I don't believe you. There is a bit of a conspiracy going around. The EA are holding off certain new improvements to the game until the next iteration because It is that massive breakaway from FIFA. They need the sales to be big. They need to still be the best football game on the market. And they might go off with a bang next year. That is more of a case than I can ever give you not to buy FIFA 23. The fact that, yes, they could be holding off on new features until next year because they still want to be the biggest franchise after the FIFA breakaway. Mate, I thought when they said that the Champions League licensing was like the big thing for career mode, was like the lowest of the lows. When they come into this season and say that new menus are one of the big changes, new menus, you're paying, what, 60 upwards of your currency on this video game, and they're saying that new menus are a big feature. Come on, man. How do you even have the cheek to do that? These menus might be a little bit better. They might also be a little bit worse, but I tell you one thing that they certainly are not. Big selling points for a video game. I was offered to go to Berlin to play an early build of FIFA 19. Outside of the minimal changes that they announced, there were little tweaks that we certainly appreciated more. Apparently, there are no little tweaks. It is just the same game, but different menus and playable moments. Bro, if you don't have time to do a full career mode, there's simulations there anyway. Sure, it's nice to play a bit of FIFA, but it'll be interesting to see how these playable moments are implemented. If it's only just one-on-ones, they'll get boring fast, and I feel like they will just be simple chances that you take quite easily, because the shooting mechanics can be mastered by a 5-year-old. Transitioning beautifully to gameplay, if the gameplay is absolutely fantastic, one of the best FIFAs to be ever made, then this video will be taken down. Gameplay overrides everything, in my opinion. You can look past the shoddy designs of the game modes if the gameplay is great, but I have got serious confidence that this gameplay is going to leave a lot to be desired, or that you might see improvements within the game in comparison to FIFA 22, but within a couple of patches it will be the same old, same old. I am stunned that after an entire year, countless messages on the EA forums, that they have not been able to fix the AI not crossing on Hypermotion. That is just a blatant disregard for the fanbase's concerns. And it also completely shatters the idea of this being a football simulation. It is not a football simulation if the simulation itself can't cross. Crossing is a fundamental part of football. They based the entire motion capture last year on one football game. One 90-minute football game. This year, they've added another one football game, but this time for the men and the women. So the evolution of that AI, Hypermotion 2 has to work on just 180 minutes of football. That's outrageous. A little note on women's football and the addition of club sides. I totally welcome that. I feel like the addition needed to happen, but will it be implemented into career mode? Absolutely not. It'll still be just a kickoff, maybe a tournament mode at best. And that is the worst kind of tick boxing from this company. They'll say that they're inclusive. They'll say that they're trying to promote the women's game, but what you've got there is nothingness. Look at all the male footballers and see the great game modes that are playable with them. And then there's the female side that is simply pushed to kick off. It's shameless. And they'll act like the good guys. It's absolutely shameless. What they have done equally for both men's and women's is create a certain tournament I don't even know if I can speak of yet. Oh, they've already talked about it. Okay, wicked. Right, so World Cups. They are including the female World Cup and the male World Cup. Excellent. Big thumbs up with that. Let's be honest here, though. There's probably more stadiums in the male version. There's probably a higher level of authenticity. But take those words as they are. I have not played these game modes yet, so I don't know what's going on with them. And you talk about downgrades, EA are championing these World Cup modes. Not 10 years ago, they were making standalone World Cup games with all the FIFA nations included, with all the qualifying, in-depth scenarios, just a way better experience. I will bet every single penny that I've got that they haven't included any qualification in this game mode. The selection of national teams outside of the finalists is very limited, probably not even existent. But less than a decade ago, these guys were chucking out a full World Cup experience. You could play as Djibouti and win the World Cup. You could play as Aruba and win the World Cup. You could play as American Samoa, San Marino, and win the World Cup. So we've gone through all the reasons why not to buy FIFA 23, and it is a very good case that I put out to you today. And now we move on to what EA could change in the future to make this game so much better. What would I do As head of the game development department, I guess, the man who calls the shots, essentially, what would I do in that position to make FIFA a better game than what it is right now? Well, it's very clear that year one in career mode, the code has to be completely rebuilt. So instead of being secretive to the fan base, explain exactly what is going on and why these changes are necessary for better improvements in the future, instead of what they're doing right now, hyping up features that don't make a sodding bit of difference. Then after rebuilding the code and thoroughly playtesting it, make sure that it's exactly like it was beforehand, except less buggy, then you go and expand on features that are already in the game but they've not been implemented nearly as well as what they could be. Youth Academy, Global Transfer Network. I mean, what is the point of Global Transfer Network? It has been in the game for nearly a decade, mate. There's no point to it, and 9 years down the line, almost my entire YouTube career has been me slowly bashing the Global Transfer Network. Newsflash! It's useless! Change it for a proper scouting network. Maybe hide certain players that you don't know about yet. Have a setting on and off. If you want to play a casual career mode and sign Mbappe to Burton Albion, go ahead. Do that as well. But why can't we have both? Have you seen edit player in Madden? You can change their development rate. You can change all the attributes. I think you can change the name. On FIFA, you can change like the sock length. I know you can do it because I see it in the main menu. Add a player, edit player. Those things are there already. I'd love a better broadcast package. And that's not just graphic wise. It's talking about different games as they happen whilst yours plays out. There is such a disconnect between your game and the rest of the games in the league. They might have the latest score feature on the top. It still feels distant. It sometimes doesn't work. They might talk about games that don't even affect you, and if you're tedious enough to get into the menus and select the one game that you really need to know information about, that might not come up in the game at all. They might just not tell you about it, and you have to wait until half-time to see the score. Dynamic potential sounded like a great addition, but what it's actually done is destroy like your fringe players, or if you're like a mid-table side, some of your first-teamers might even go down in potential. How does that even work? Why don't you connect the dynamic potential to the post-match interviews? The interviewer says, which player played really well today? You answer that question. Which player played really bad today? You answer that question. That then alters the potential. Oh, what a difference that would make, by the way. Get them features and connect them together so they mean something. The morale system is busted. If you're struggling in a league, morale's going south, why can't we, like, hold a team meeting to try and raise that up? Nah, what they want you to do is go into the squad hub and micromanage. Micromanage until your life crumbles into non-existence. The Youth Academy has been the same for so long. Why can't we play Youth Academy games? Just give every single team 16 to 18 players in a Youth Academy and let us play a game midweek. Yet again, post-match interviews changing the dynamic potentials of the players. So the lads that have played really well in the Youth Academy that have surprised you get a shot at the first team instead of just looking at numbers. Oh, he's got high potential, therefore he's in. He's not got a high potential, therefore we'll release him. These are not crazy changes, and including the total overhaul of the coding, it can be done in 3 years, probably even less. For Ultimate Team, I can't say that they need to do this change, that change. It's making just a ridiculous amount of money for the company. They'll be happy to keep on squeezing the cash cow. I'd like to see way more fairness in it, but it's not going to happen. Pro clubs, you could make that the proper hub for esports, because that's where it should be. And you get a team together instead of it being 1v1 with the headsets on. Nah, mate. Games need to matter more at pro clubs from top to bottom. JCC has challenged himself in recent years to go 100 wins not out, 200 wins not out, because the current divisional system doesn't offer a great challenge. You just play pro clubs to have a match with your mates, and then occasionally someone like pipes up, hey, we've won Division 8, boys. Oh, great. Good lads. Nice. Cheers. I'll put that on the CV, shall I? Gameplay-wise, there are steps in the right direction. I still don't understand why time finishing is a thing. Base the quality of the shot and the quality of passes on how much space the player has, how much time the player has. Like real life. It's not as overpowered as what it once was, but still at this moment in time, EA are rewarding people that can just press a button on time. They can play hospital balls as much as they like. So long as they press the circle button or the shoot button, whatever controller you're using, at the right time, then they are set. Don't worry about it. Reward people for shooting in space and for passing into space, and then you'll get a player base that actually play better football. Mad that, I know. Overall, the shooting mechanics are too easy. This is without time finishing. Time finishing makes it even easier. Even with the goalkeepers getting a little bit better over time, it's no problem to stick it into the side netting. I'm a striker in pro clubs, and it used to be a challenge to get into the right spaces to shoot properly. Now it's no problem. You're just hitting it into the roof of the net all the time. Yeah, it's easy. Like you're some kind of God. I blame that squarely on the amount of esports players that they've got higher up. The game is becoming too clinical, meaning that we don't get the same moments that we used to get in like FIFA 14. Ronald Chavez was one of my old strikers. He couldn't hit a barn door, and that's what made the character funny. But I guarantee if Ronald Chavez was playing in FIFA 23, I'd be able to score plenty with him. He had a decent amount of pace. Finesse shot around the goalkeeper, no problem. Right, I think I've covered all bases. Save your money. Send a message out to EA that this is not acceptable. I do feel personally like they're holding off stuff for the next game as they break away from FIFA. They see us as nothing but consumers. And if we are that to them, then the only thing that we can do is not buy the game. Please be civilized in the comments section. Sorry for being a bit ranty. It comes from a very good place. I want FIFA to be an amazing game, an amazing experience for everybody. If you see a person in the comment section 50-50 on whether to buy the game or not, encourage them not to buy the game, because together we can make a difference. If you enjoy career mode and like the passion that I had in this video, then I really suggest you watching Youth Squad Legends. Get subscribing to the channel. Please give the video a like. I would say share it amongst other creators. Maybe share it amongst your friends. Get it to as many people as you possibly can. And even though you might feel like you're insignificant, you not buying the game, many other people not buying the game will have a drastically positive impact. I know some people will disagree with me in the comment section, and that's fine. But in my view, something had to be done. I would never make a video if I didn't believe in it. You shouldn't buy FIFA 23. Unless the gameplay is phenomenal, that message will stick all year. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.